What's going on there, guys? We back with another one, and we got to talk about Stephen A. Smith on today and everything that's going on with the city of Memphis. As this thing has lingered, over the better part of this week when he said that many NBA players don't want to play in Memphis. Now, we're going to hear from former NBA players that actually agree with Stephen A. Smith and what he said. But also, we're going to look at the mayor extending an invitation to kind of educate Stephen A. Smith on some things going on in Memphis. Now, as you all know, John Morant clapped back at Stephen A. when he said what he said. But the mayor, he addressed Stephen A. He says, my thoughts on Stephen A. Smith's statement about Memphis. Stephen A. called us a great sports town. Facts. Best sports in the game? True. People of Memphis? Unmatched. But what he is missing is that the crime is down significantly in 2024 and 2025. We're not just talking change, we're delivering it. Memphis is rising and we've got the numbers and the heart to prove it. If Jimmy or anyone else is unsure, come see for yourself. And Stephen will welcome you here anytime. Just don't bet against us. Memphis doesn't stay down. Big shout out to all the Memphians and John Morant for jumping into the mix today. John repping his city like that shows exactly why he's one of us. His greatness is undeniable, but it's his heart that makes him Memphis. And so, the mayor had that to say. If Stephen A. would respond to that invitation, he would say, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor Paul Young. Deeply appreciate your words and the sentiments that came with them. Progress is what life is all about. And when it comes to Memphis, where some dear friends of mine reside, I wish for nothing less. The people deserve nothing less. So with that said, I accept your invitation to come to your city as your guest. Let's make it happen. I'm looking forward to it. And, I kind of wanted to say that at first before we get into this next portion where a former ESPN colleague ripped Stephen A. Smith to shreds. Now, there was an article that came out in the Daily Mail that former ESPN colleague Jason Fitz kind of leaned into Stephen A. Smith and went in after this recent comment he made about the city of Memphis. And, this is what he had to say. Stephen A. is one of the least prepared people I've ever worked with in my entire career. We see him making content 24/7. So I guess my question to people in Memphis is, how much Memphis do you think he's actually absorbed? And I mean all of it. Memphis culture, Memphis basketball. What does Stephen A. Smith know about the city of Memphis? And the answer to that is only what his friends or his people on his phone tweet him or text him. That's all he knows. He is so separated from actual reality. What does he know? Stephen A. walks and talks and lives and eats and breathes stereotypes. That's all he knows. Frankly, he has to talk about the city of Memphis because my guy hasn't watched a single Memphis basketball game in probably 3 years. Stephen A. has a staff and info group that feeds him information so that he can have somewhat informed opinions, and they're usually not because he works too hard to actually watch any games. And that's what he had to say, man. He went in, defending the city of Memphis. Now, we're going to get into what some of the former NBA players said because Kmart, Norris Cole, and Kendrick Perkins actually agree with Stephen A.'s assessment about the city of Memphis. So let's get into that right quick.
Did Stephen A. go too far about his comments about Memphis?
He told the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, Memphis is cool for certain people, but like for others, like it ain't.
Everywhere a little dangerous though.
No, it ain't as dangerous as Memphis. The city is ravaged by gun violence. People dying daily in Memphis. I would not have wanted to play there as an NBA player. I didn't feel safe. Even though I ventured out in certain things, but certain environments, I did not feel safe. Not to say that the people of Memphis are bad people. As the old saying go, a few bad apples can ruin the whole bunch, right?
I don't know. I'd rather go to, they should move it to Nashville then.
That's what they've been talking
that's
about.
That's my point exactly. You can keep it in the state.
And your ass get a lot of pushback from the from the Memphis people. But y'all were right, bro. Y'all right. And the crazy thing is that so many people around the media space and around the NBA they whispering behind closed doors about, hey, the Memphis, they wanted to trade for Jimmy, but Jimmy didn't want to go to Memphis, man. Jimmy said it was too dangerous. Like, this is things that are being said. Like, this ain't something that people are just making up. Like, this is things that are people saying. And you know what was crazy to me? What I thought was, like, KD, when he quote tweeted, he was like, man, damn, they heard that dap up all the way, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
back in Memphis.
Yeah.
No, did y'all see how excited fucking Desmond Bain was?
He said they got windows. They got
I'm
windows.
not tripping.
So when I look at this, right, I mean, you see what happened with young Dolph. That's obviously going to make people see certain things. You saw, even before his death, you saw how, they were shooting at him in North Carolina at the CIAA. You see Yo Gotti's brother get laid down, leaving a funeral or whatever. And so there's a lot of things to look at as it pertains to the Memphis culture, right? And it's at the forefront right now. You look at Chicago, I mean, you can see some of the things that's been happening there. I mean, it's been on a massive scale since around 2012 when Chief Keef and them started to blow up. But, I mean, you could look at many of the big cities and look at the problem. I mean, you look at, the rappers down there in Texas and some of the things that happened there. I guess what I could say is it's a problem everywhere. I want to also say that some of the things that's happened with Ja is probably contributing to the way that it's perceived. Because you used to see like him with CMG and all that, and I didn't think that was a great look, especially when he started acting like he was playing with guns and doing all that. Now if he was just with them taking pictures, that's fine. Everybody takes pictures with the rappers in their city, but when he started portraying that element from the outside looking in, people started to perceive it as the city, some of the dark side of the city had an impact on who he was as a person. And that's the way people's perceiving it. And, Stephen A., he has somewhat of a point that people don't feel safe in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? But my point is there's other cities. You can go to the wrong place in any city and, find yourself in for a long day. So that would just be my only pushback. But Kmart, Big Perk, Norris Cole all said, that Memphis ain't even a safe place like that where NBA players want to go. So I don't know, man. And it's funny they mentioned like Tony Allen in the longer clip. Like if you watch the whole thing, they mentioned Tony Allen because Tony Allen has something going on in Chicago. I might actually do the story on that for people that don't know. He got into something with some big time gangster and ended up, I believe, beating him up in the bathroom or something like that. And it's funny because he played in Memphis and Chicago, which is two of the cities people talk about. But the fact that Memphis is getting this attention like over Chicago and over some of the other cities that have teams that it goes down into, I think that is what the Memphis people is pushing back with. Like, we not the only city where the violence is crazy, and I know Stephen A. said Memphis is the most dangerous city. I think that is still St. Louis. A lot of times it's St. Louis, when you check those ratings at the end of the year. It used to be somewhere in Louisiana, but many years ago. But I think, I would even say St. Louis and Baltimore is probably over Memphis. And, you can look at Philly too. Remember Lou Williams said You know, he was driving and this man, pulled a gun on him. He ended up taking him to get something to eat and talked his way out of it and everything. But, um, Philly's pretty dangerous too. And so there's an element in all these cities that, um, you shouldn't just be out dangling, like a carrot in none of these cities because you can get got. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. Stephen A's former colleague going in on him. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.